Hey there, my friends. My name's Jason. I'm a graphic designer working out of my son's bedroom, as you can see behind me. Today on the show, we are going to do a quick tutorial on Adobe Illustrator's Recolor artwork tool. In my opinion, it's underutilized, but very powerful. So I'm going to show you how to use it starting right now. So in my first example, which is going to be kind of a simple example, I've got 5 boxes drawn with 5 colors kind of representing a standard 5-color palette. And we're going to start simple and work our way up. So in order to recolor artwork, we first need to select what we need to recolor. So we're just going to take our selection tool and select those. Then up here, you see kind of this mini color palette. That's the Recolor artwork panel. And that opens up like that. We'll just drag that over to the right. Now, there's 2 kind of main tabs with the Recolor artwork tool. The first is the Assign tab, which it shows your current colors to the left and the colors you're going to assign on the right. Now you can go ahead and you can select each one. And if you want to kind of make a direct change, you could just go down here to the hue, saturation, and brightness panel and say you wanted to make that a little darker. You make that a little darker. And over here on the left, the artwork, that orange becomes darker, kind of brownish now, since we're taking white out of it. And we can see that because we have the Recolor artwork box ticked here. And if you want to see before, you can uncheck it and uncheck after. But we're not going to do that. We're going to come up here, and if you hit the eyedropper tool, that kind of resets it there. And the real purpose of the Recolor artwork tool, kind of the real advantage, is that it allows you to experiment with different palettes and assign different palettes intelligently using the rules of color harmony. So we're going to go over to our Edit tab. And here we can see the current colors, and we can manipulate them. There's a button down here which will just link them together for sort of color harmony rules, and then we can drag them around and we can experiment with different palettes quite easily, and that's imposing the rules of color harmony, and we can see it changing there. And if we like a specific palette, we can add it to our color groups on the right, and we can rename it new palette, or whatever we're going to call it. Maybe you're trying some things out. We can go back to Assign, and then we can see the new palette here, and we can tweak those further with the hue, saturation, and brightness. And over here, back in the Edit panel, if we want to kind of change the rules that we're recoloring the artwork here, we can go up here and we can have this drop down, and we can see that there's a number of harmony rules. Some will actually reduce the number of colors, and some will keep that same number of colors and apply different rules. So I won't get into color theory, but if you want complementary colors, one's opposite the color wheel. On the color wheel, you can choose that. Let's choose that, for example, and we've changed that to complementary colors. So we're just going to jump back to our original palette here. And one of the things that Recolor artwork can be used for is to reduce the amount of colors in your artwork. So I'm just going to show you how that works. So we'll open our Recolor artwork tool, and you can see that every color here is represented. Sometimes in an effort in art or graphic design, we want to use less colors. Often we can get overzealous with the use of colors, and this is one tool that will just help us simplify our color usage. So we've got 5 colors down here in our palette, and say we only want to make it 3. Now we go down to this drop down here where it says colors and we choose 3. Now Illustrator doesn't just assign these randomly. It groups each similar colors together and reduces them that way. So the green is kind of closer to the blue. So that makes it one color that's all going to be reassigned. So we can go back over here to our edit. We can make sure that we lock our colors according to the rules of color harmony, and we can mess with that. And that will work with a 3-color palette. So we can see that's kind of interesting. And there is our new colors. We can see before, and now we can see the after with 3 colors, 1, 2, and 3 from left to right. Now here we are with a far more complex example here of an abstract piece of artwork. Now there's a difference between when you should use the Recolor artwork tool and when you should use kind of a selection approach. And what I mean by a selection approach is if you just want to change the sort of scales or this blue gradient, if you just want to change that, you can take your direct selection tool and select one of those and just come up here to the select drop down, and we can look for the same fill, and it will select all the ones with the same fill. Now, sometimes this is way easier, maybe in a design project where you needed to have a very specific value and you didn't have the right RGB value in there. That's an easy way to change it. And I don't think it's really the intention of the Recolor artwork tool. The Recolor artwork tool is used to often experiment with different palettes, or to reduce the amount of colors and change color harmony rules. So let's get back into that. And we're just going to, oops, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to, let's lock that background. And then we'll just select all of our artwork here. Now we have a lot going on, a lot of vectors. And we'll come up here and we'll open up our Recolor artwork dialog box. And here we have, it lists the number of colors we have that we're working with here. And we have 51. Now that can be a lot to manage, but we can rely on some of the built-in tools of this. So we can go to our edit tab. So we have a very busy palette, and we can link those together. And we can experiment with color harmony. We'll just pick one of these and drag it around. And we still have sort of these harmonious rules being applied. But if we want to change things, we can. And we can have quite a dramatic change. But as you can see, it's kind of all working together without having to do a lot, without having to select each one and then experiment. It's just a handy and very powerful tool for doing that. So now we're going to look at reducing the overall number of colors here. So let's just select our artwork again, and we can open up our Recolor artwork button and open up our dialog box here. And now we can see where it says current color is 51. We actually have 51 colors involved in this piece. And I'm just going to move this to the side. Now, it would be kind of, in this drop down, it would be kind of dramatic to drop it down to 5 colors. So you can just enter whatever value you want in here, and then say we want 20 colors, and we can just type in 20 and just click off to the side there. And now we can see that we've reduced colors to 20, and Illustrator does a really smart job of taking analogous colors, similar colors, on the color wheel that are close together and making groups of them. And then you can take that group and assign different colors sort of automatically using this, and we can go that route. Or we can just stick with a reduced amount of colors, or we can actually go into these little drop downs over here, and we can look at some further detail on how it's approaching that. So we can see this kind of purples, these three violet kind of purple colors, and they're being assigned some different purples. But we can open this up and we can look at further rules to applying that. So we can scale the tints, we can preserve the tints, we can make a hue shift, we can play with tints and shades. And if you're working with spot colors, you can also preserve spot colors if you're working on a print project and need that sort of accuracy. So we'll just close that, won't do any of that. So there we can see we've reduced the amount of colors to 20, and we can just call that, well, it assigns reduce 20 for us, and we can save that in our color groups, which also brings that into our swatches for ease of use. And that's how we can recolor our artwork. It's fun. It's fun to do, and a very powerful tool that doesn't require a lot of effort. The panel looks busy, but it's actually very simple and easy to use.